All right, so let's get right into it. The $1 listings and auction rules. This is New Jersey legal context. Very important. So let's look at the tactic, right? Listing a home for $1 acts as a marketing bait to trigger bidding wars. Legal, but requires clear disclosures and documentations. Now, there's an example of that in Newark, New Jersey, where Brendan De Silva listed a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home for $1, drew hundreds of inquiries, and garnered a $550,000 final offer, according to Realtor.com.
Yeah.
So there's auction risks, of course. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I think it's when you first hear it, like, oh, that's amazing, like you could. So let's get some backstory of this,
How
right?
much did he buy it for? Yeah.
So he happens to be the agent, the investor, the buyer. So he purchased the property, he put money in, renovated, and put on the market. And that was a clever way to market. It's just another way people use marketing. There's so many different ways. I'm sure he has 100, maybe not 1,000 people that are upset because of it, because they wanted the $1. I'll give you $1, give me the property, but no,
or $1,000,
or 1,000, whatever it is. But the reality is, he sold the property. I'm sure it was a decent property, and he sold. It sounds good when you hear 550. And, above asking, whatever, it's obviously above asking. But the reality is the average sale price in that area is 570, 550. So it's like on the benchmark where he should sell the property. Yeah. So buyers goes back to the idea.
Still got the same thing.
Exactly. He could have got $495.
Listing it for $1 and getting all these eyeballs on this property versus listing it at $499.
Is this good?
We'll get less eyeballs, but still eyeballs nonetheless. Will it result in the same 550 or higher?
I think so. I think ultimately.
So regardless of which route.
The people that went to buy that house didn't go there initially and wanted to bet $1. They knew they wanted that area. They wanted the whatever criteria that property offers, and they saw it on the market. And they know that the market, and I'm sure of it. If you look at the top 3 offers that he's gotten around the 550 mark, they are all represented by agents.
So definitely for Brendan, congratulations, Mr. De Silva, on selling your property.
Yeah.
But you did not break any records. you got market value for it. So
you
congrats.
Probably did. And
any sale is good, right? As a seller, you just want to get out of it. You bought the property, you took the risk, you did the construction. To buy property, there's costs coming in, right? Closing costs coming in. When you exit and sell, there's closing costs coming out. And so it might look like you made a lot of money, but and then taxes and all
he
that.
wasn't in, he got him in and it didn't go in the red, which is what when you invest and you want to flip properties, you don't want to be in the red. Sometimes it happens. So this one is a fortunate, and hopefully keep doing things that are fortunate.
I gotta give it to him for the creativity, though.
Very creative. Yeah.
Good job. What are some absolute auction risks, especially when they bind you without attorney review? This is a $1 regular auction.
Yeah, this is not really an auction, right?
You'll see auctions at the county level, foreclosures. You'll see the auctions there.
Those are different. Yes.
Let's suppose we're working with buyers or guiding buyers. What are some of the things to look out for? And I'm sharing that because we have a shared story with a mutual friend who just buys at auctions and got screwed. It was a $700,000 purchase.
Yeah, and there were people living in the place. So the simple answer is, if you're buying at auction, most likely you have to have majority of the cash up front, right? And you're going to buy it with hopefully a team in mind that's going to do the research on the property prior to you getting to the property. Because these addresses are released ahead of time.
And one of the basic things is title.
Title, clear
you
title.
You could just go and
if somebody's living in there or not, is it winterized or not? Meaning if the property's sufficiently being unoccupied And that because every property needs maintenance. So if you winterize a property, it means it prepares it for the years to come where nobody's occupying it, water staying still, pipes do not freeze. Those many other things. Units are not being, you don't walk into a unit, you turn on the boiler, and then water's shooting out of everywhere, right? Or the toilets are not working because the toilets are pipes are busted. So there's a lot of risk in buying auction in that sense, especially if it's unoccupied and not winterized.
Awesome. Yeah. We are going to skip the skyrocketing property taxes story in New Jersey.
We'll go.
I know you have a lot to say about that, but we're going to skip that. But just
mortgage rates, something nice for them to hear.
Yeah,
right?
Real estate and mortgage rate trends. So let's take a look at home price growth. New Jersey home values rose nearly 46% in 5 years, from 2005 to 2025. Jumping from an average of 374,000 to 568,000. That's a
what's
nice
crazy
change for those that bought before 2020.
But that's when, like, you remember the 2006, 2007, 2008, era where prices were being sold high, people weren't affording them, the whole mortgage thing. But now you look at the same properties, they're like 100,000, even more than then. So that's kind of crazy.
I remember,
and it was only like 10 years. We're talking about 15 years.
Two-family houses selling for $500,000 in the height of 2008, 2007, 2008.
You can't even get
collapse.
A two-family for,
and then it dropped to 250. Prices dropped to 250, 275, 300, and now you can't get a two-family for less than like 700,000 in Bayonne. And those are for the beat up ones. The nicer ones are over
even higher.
So there's momentum on growth in New Jersey over the last 5 years, but there's some momentum around mortgage, right? So we saw that demand recently surged as rates dropped to 6.3, between 6.35 to 6.49. And that increased applications by 9%. Forecasts expect a stable demand. Existing home sales are up 3% in 2025. They're expecting to rise to 14% in 2026. And mortgage rates are easing to the 6% or even below 6%, according to the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah. So for those of you that are hearing all these numbers, kind of like not sure where the market is, what is it a good time to buy, hold, etc. The reality is this. These numbers that the application people basically applying for more loans has nothing to do with the interest rate. It has to do with the fact that prices have been slowly going down, not in every area, but slowly dissipating. Okay, so the interest rate helps because now the actual payment per month for your loan is less, but you're talking about a quarter of a point. It's really not breaking $100 a month. So of savings. Yes, that sounds like a lot if you're bridging from 3,100 to 2,900, breaking that gap. Okay, it sounds like nice. It's nicer. You're under 3K for mortgage, which is impossible if you don't include taxes in New Jersey, right? Which have increasingly just risen.
We have an election coming up about this, and taxes seem to be a hot issue. Let's see if politicians actually make a difference on property tax, because it's the one
thing in New Jersey that's tough.
They avoid talking about property tax because that's how you fix everything. Just dump it on if you can't get it through other taxes, you dump it on properties, and we end up paying for it.
Yeah. So the again, going back to what's happening here. The interest rates is going to help prolong higher prices. Actually, we know that because it's as owners are not going to necessarily change their price up because they know the rates drop. That's not what's happening. It's just people are going to wind up having a higher budget or capability of purchase, higher buy power. So because they have a buyer power that's high, they will pay a little bit higher than what the asking is. So the data every 3 months, 6 months, when you're looking at comps, it's going to go up for that particular type of home. So that's the problem. And it doesn't manifest itself within 30 days. Usually you have 6 months to a year, and you find that hey, it's growing because of these factors.
Here's a question: are buyers getting better leverage now, or are they still priced out? I really want to. I do think it's generational. Like the younger generation, they're still priced out.
So
my buyers that are killing it, they're over 40 years old. They're between 40 to 50, or 40 to 60. They're bringing the larger down payments. They've been around enough to not be afraid of certain repairs, and they're the ones buying. And I feel like the younger ones, they're still buying, right?
There's reluctancies, yeah.
There's a lot of reluctancies, and they're having a tough time qualifying with these rates.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to change a lot. I don't think they have leverage. Buyers are not going to have that leverage just yet. Is it going to, everyone says, they have the experts in 5 years, AI is going to take over, or, this and this and that. The reality is it's not, nothing is certain, not even those couple of year predictions. Buyers are going to still have a tough time because, especially in New Jersey, but more just nationally, we have people are having children. They want to be in better places. They want to they venture into like the city, and then that's a phase of their life. And as the cycle of real estate goes from condo to townhouse to property in the suburbs, you want to go into safer areas. But most important, which I think is the craziest thing, is the school systems. The school system is dictating price. If you are building in a school system, you're guaranteed to sell at market or higher. Whereas if you're building somewhere in lower rated school systems, and parents are buying, right?
We actually need an episode on who's rating those school systems.
Yeah,
who's
it's
actually
crazy.
rating them?
It's crazy.
They have such an impact, and you might think as someone who's rating a school that it's just a job. You are moving masses. You're responsible for migration in New Jersey, and it's causing all kinds of
chaos. It's chaos
with prices.
But it's
I
also
just sold in New Providence, who has known. It's known as one of the good school systems in New Jersey. I sold the most expensive split level in all of New Providence. We listed it at 1.599, expensive to begin with, and sold for 1.78 million, 180,000 above ask, and no other and it was crazy how it sold. We sold it in a week. People were going bananas for it. Why? The question is who's moving the levers there? There's a lot of great things. There's the trains. There's access to Manhattan.
Well, it's a pristine property too. But
nobody wants to give credit to schools and the rating of these schools. I just want to ask, can we do an episode to do a deep dive in this and maybe invite a guest to help us understand why these ratings, how are they done, what kind of process do they use? Because I feel like there's a lot of hidden gems that people don't know about regarding schools, and they're just overlooking these properties where they could live cheaper, get properties at a better price point, and still have those great schools.
Yeah. So, we definitely have to bring in a specialist when it comes to school ratings.
Hannah, at the same time, just sold $1 million home and rushed back here, so he'll take your seat, and we'll continue the discussion. So let's keep this going. Hannah. So we're gonna pick up right on to responding to tragedy with unity and character. This is towards the tail end.
So you guys already spoke about the electricity. I had a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah, we actually did. We skip the electricity.
New Jersey electricity bill spiked summer 2025. That's super important.
I may have missed that. So let's look at that real quick because I thought I had.
It's interesting for me because I feel like I don't know if this is a setup because like you see electricity going up, right, in price. And then, obviously this whole solar panels.
We did skip that in the introduction. There is a story that I didn't reference on New Jersey electricity spike that we should have actually started with. But let's start with some facts here. What's driving this spike, right? New Jersey saw a sharp summer power cost. Okay. The PGM capacity auction hit a record $329.17, a 22% increase. The data centers and digital infrastructure demand are major contributors over here. There are some mitigation measures. The New Jersey Monitor reports that New Jersey approved a $100 bill. They approved the $100 bill credits for residents, attempting to soften the blow. The JPM warns residential costs could increase 30 to 60% by 2030 if supply fails to catch up, according to Rutgers. What hidden cost must homeowners factor in today? In terms of electricity, right? Yeah. I know, Hannah, you're into like Teslas and getting
yeah. So here's the thing. Back then, solar panels, people were like calculating, is solar panels a good solution? And which I think it is. But they were very expensive back then. And then about the resale of the home and taking them off, and it was so complicated. People didn't want to get involved in that.
I've sold property with solar panels, and the problem is the buyers assume that these solar panels are paid off to find out during attorney review that wait a second, there's a $40,000 balance that you have to, as a new owner, inherit because the seller doesn't have enough money from the proceeds to pay them off.
Yes.
The sellers that do pay them off from the proceeds, those are the ones that, it's not a problem. Like the new buyer is inheriting, they're paying for a building and they're paying for those solar panels as part of their purchase price.
Yeah, and I had a house that I sold, I listed where it had solar panels. We had to also deal with that where it was leased. So now it's kind of like this company just goes on and is like, hey, the owner's like, they don't even want them, right? He's like, I have to deal with this.
And how many calls do you get from selling you solar panels? How many phone calls are we getting? I mean, at one point, I was getting 3 to 4 calls a day, every single day. I would have to beg people on the phone, like, please go through your records and remove my name because it was getting out of control.
Yeah. So and this is where I'm getting at, Isa. Electricity prices up, right? I don't know if there was an agenda to sell these solar panels, and
of course, there's a lot of money and incentives for that,
and to do that, but people were not falling into it, and all of a sudden now we got the prices increasing at crazy amounts. And if you do the numbers, you're like, okay, well, maybe now it makes more sense to get solar at that price point. And I don't know if that's, again, I don't know if that's what they're trying to do here. But I think if you do your math and you go through the channels, like I know Tesla Solar, they do their own, they have theirs, and there's proper channels to go and get that. It might be feasible. Prices of solar went down as well. But do it. I would say do not lease it. I don't think leasing is a good option because they're very low maintenance, right? So if you do lease, people lease
now,
because
of. Do you think more people are considering homes with solar panels now that we're seeing the electricity spikes?
Yes, and I don't know if that's intentional. They're doing that on purpose,
No, it's not
or
on
is
purpose.
just
It has to do with the demand.
Yes,
There's a lot more demand, and it's part of. I'm noticing that it has a lot to do with data centers. Data centers are consuming a lot of power, and New Jersey's getting data centers, and it's pulling a surge. So I think on a national scale, on a national level, I think the White House and lawmakers are trying to regulate these data centers to supply their own power, not to take up the electricity that we need for our day-to-day use. So they're creating power.
I think it should go to the person that's utilizing it, right? So if you buy a home and you decide to put solar panels on your home, you're getting power from the sun, right? And they'll try to sell the sun doesn't belong to anybody, it belongs to God. It belongs to
and those solar panels, this materials and stuff like that. It's not really that serious. They've been making solar panels for a long time.
Exactly.
It's very cheap to produce.
Exactly.
But somebody's cashing in on it and making it difficult.
And I liked how you could sell back to the grid and the city gives you money back. But in some places you can't do that. You can't sell it back to the grid. So it's like,
maybe
why?
you could use it for batteries.
You
have some batteries to reload.
Backup.
Because you need that at nighttime too. But Hannah, we're closing out this segment with a couple of things. But first, we want to talk about how to respond to tragedy with unity and character. So, the Charlie Kirk legacy. This is a conservative youth influencer, founder of Turning Point USA. He was fatally shot. Everybody knows about it. This is not news. This is not breaking news. During a campus event, his death rattled a national discourse. His final post condemned the murder of a Ukrainian refugee. Her name is it's Arina. And both events now raise critical questions about media framing, political violence. The national impact here is his assassination intensified debates on polarization, rhetoric, and violence, triggering bipartisan calls for civility. This is according to The Guardian. And so there's some questions I have. I want you to think about here. What do these tragedies? And by the way, when this happened, this was September 10th. I was at a conference in Orlando, and we haven't recorded anything during that season. So it was a season of reflection. We didn't do any podcasts. We didn't want to talk about it in the heat of everything. Just a moment to reflect. Right. What a tough situation in this country. What do these tragedies reveal about the fractured heart of America? Can shared grief be a starting point for unity? And how do we balance acknowledging political reality while honoring individual humanity? Right? These are the things we should be talking about. I think everyone has the right to disagree, and we should disagree. On this podcast, we disagree, but we're brothers, right? So think of it. If you and I don't agree on a topic we're discussing that's real estate related, whether it's debt versus whether it's leverage versus cash, I could take a different position than you. I still love you. We're having the debate right now as a group of partners about how we handle our retreats. How do we handle our partners' retreats? We're having a debate, and it's a serious debate. But I still love you. I may disagree with how you feel the retreats should be, how long they should be, where they should be, etc. But I still love you. I still care about you.
Yeah,
I still value you, and you're my brother. So
Yeah.
we could extend that further with our political views. We could extend that further with our business practices. We could extend that further to our neighbors. We could be in disagreement about something and still be civil. And we need to get back to that, normalizing that disagreement. Passion, take a position, be passionate about your position, but don't hate the one that doesn't have that same passion.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
So you said a lot there, Isa, to cover, right? I think, it's definitely a tragedy. It's something that we need to reflect on, think about. And I'm glad that we just kind of, sometimes people want to respond quick or without reflecting or without, knowing, or just out of anger. Right. So I'm glad and again, I don't like when I see people trying to monetize it and make they're using it, and that's not good. You shouldn't that's something you shouldn't, but it's happening, people are just using that in the wrong way. So I'm glad we're not doing that, because it's just not the right thing. And even the Ukrainian family, I looked into it. It's just the brother, the sister, the mom, they all moved here, right, for a better life. And then
so sad, sad.
The father had to stay behind to be at the war, and it's he can't even be at the funeral while, and it's just, it's very, very sad.
It's heartbreaking.
And now I feel more than ever, because of the media, because of what we have access to, it's back then you didn't know what was happening in a different country. You didn't know certain things, and we're bombarded with a lot of information. It's usually bad information, right? Because bad news sells, right? So it's
it's a tough situation. I think in our world, we just need to be able to agree to disagree in those situations, and keep loving each other. Keep lifting each other. Listen more to each other. We need to listen more to those that are different than us. And so we definitely did not want to do another episode without at least talking about the national crisis we had on September 10th. And so there are some things to summarize and close out this podcast that are new to realtors. And so we want to talk to the real estate agents, LLCs for commissions. Finally, they've been asking for this forever, And so there's a new law and a rule change. So New Jersey licensed salespersons, broker salespersons, referral agents can now register an LLC or other entity with the New Jersey Real Estate Commission to legally receive your commissions. Your commissions are still payable to the brokerage, but the brokerage has been forced to pay you personally. Now, if you register your LLC, the brokerage can pay your company. And that's amazing because of the tax advantages associated with this. And so who can register? Individual licensees, not team leaders, not teams. Teams cannot register for this. It's individual licensees who have an ownership interest in the entity. The application is done online on the New Jersey Real Estate Commission portal. You must submit a standing certificate and a certificate of formation and a $50 fee paid online. The entity cannot receive commissions until approved by the commission. So don't go open your LLC and start asking your broker for commissions. Get the approval first. Wait until the state approves you. And only one entity per licensee. There's limits, right? You must stay in good standing with the New Jersey Treasury and must notify the Real Estate Commission within 30 days of ownership changes or entity dissolutions.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's some things that matter. Why this matters, it allows agents to structure their income through an LLC. This is good for potential tax planning, liability protection, etc. Go ahead, Hannah. You could
Yeah, my
comment.
thoughts on this is, if you're making, like the average person we discussed earlier, right, making at least in New Jersey 50 to 75,000 a year, definitely speak to your tax advisor. But you might not, like, beneficially, you might not benefit until you're making a certain amount of income where it makes sense for you to do that, like, or like an enterprise, like a corporation.
Definitely there are differences, and it will.
And
be
is
case
it
by
only
case.
LLC or
Right
is also
now,
a corporation?
before this law,
Yeah.
you're filing as an independent contractor, 1099.
Yes.
Right. So now your 1099 is to an LLC. So there are certain deductions that you could take. There are enhancements almost immediately that impact you, regardless of your income levels. But for sure, the more money you make, the better it is for you in this new change, this new setup. When New Jersey did this, they're now in line with states like New York, Pennsylvania, California, where this is already law. It could impact the way brokers are paying you, but it's not a big deal. Like, you can just change the way you process your payments. Your contracts are going to change a little bit also.
I mean, it could also help you if you, in terms of just your identity of just, like, obviously I have an LLC, Musharbish LLC, but it's kind of, there is a liability. If somebody sues you, they're suing your company, right? Versus you directly.
There's that liability.
Yeah, so there is that. I'm wondering if that's just for it has to be LLC, or can it also be? It could be like a corporation.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right. So in that case, again, it just depends on how much are you making to make that decision. Should you do that or not? Because if from a tax purposes, if this is like gonna save you money, then absolutely that would be good.
Every agent should do that. Every agent should do that, but first talk to your CPA.
Yes.
Talk to your CPA. Do that. It's not going to cost you more than $50 to file.
You pay annually
there's cost
for it.
that has to do with, there's cost with your LLC, but there's also the $50 filing fee. So, but talk to your CPA for sure.
Any full timers should do it.
Yeah, full timers. That's what I'm
there you go.
Like, if you're in real estate, you're
the 20%.
There are
should
new
do
rules I want to talk about also, but that's coming later, December 1st. But it has to do with all cash real estate deals. So this is not till December, but starting December 1st, if it's around the corner, you should know it. There's a new federal rule which will impact anyone buying residential property with cash through an LLC, trust, or other entity. Here's the breakdown. Let's see, who does it apply to? It applies to all cash or privately financed deals where the buyer is an LLC, a trust, or a similar entity. Let's see, so who reports? So title companies, attorneys, or settlement agents must file a report with FinCEN. And let's look at the info that's collected. Names, addresses, beneficial owners of the entity's trust, property details, and payment method. Why does it matter? Designated to fight money laundering and increase transparency. Buyers who used LLC for privacy will now face more disclosures. And let's talk about who it doesn't cover. If you're buying as an individual in your own name, this rule doesn't apply. And so the big takeaway here, if you or your client use an entity or a trust to buy property with cash, expect new paperwork, more disclosure, and possibly delays if the professionals aren't prepared. So that's coming December 1st for cash buyers. And that's all for today, Hannah. This is episode 5, man. So we're really, really excited that we made it this far. We want to ask you to subscribe to the Defy All Odds. Sorry, my head is on the All People Free documentary. But subscribe to the Defy All Odds channel. This way you could get alerts whenever we go live with a new episode. Send us your questions, engage with us, write comments. We read them all, and We're committed to growing this channel together. Thank you, Nick, for helping us with these episodes. We appreciate you also. And guys, until next time, see you soon.
Thank you for watching.